Yes, I know I've talked about these before, which is why this is a Sunday video, okay? So, in preparation for me finishing up this franchise, thought I'd go back and start watching all of them. They've since re-released this in a new transfer, but I don't think it's that much better, and I know that the extras are all the same. I think I'll just stick to this, honestly. I didn't have a problem with it. But yeah, going back and giving this another whirl for the first time in forever, it was an enjoyable, very good movie about a man who believes that he's one of the top spy team out there, that has the team undermined, recognizes that he's being set up, but the problem is everybody is against him, and then has to try and piece things together. But because he's so well trained, he actually puts himself into a position where he has a lot more to work with than what you would expect, and then bam, he manages to get everything solved. He prevents the information from being leaked, defeats the bad guy, clears his name, all that good jazz. Good movie. So, I'd say 5 out of 5 critique, 4.5 personally, because I don't think that it just has that little edge, to really get it over the top. It's very hard to get that 5 out of 5 from me, yeah. Then the second one, which I don't own and won't own, which tells you my thoughts on that one pretty clearly, because I'm one of the people that doesn't really like that movie, but it's more along the lines of, it's a bad Mission Impossible movie. As an action movie, it's fine, trying a little hard to be James Bond, because at the time with this franchise, they didn't know that it was even going to be a franchise, so, they just decided to go for a different angle with it, but it's the black sheep of this franchise, without a doubt, because of where the franchise went after this. And, yeah, it's not too great, because the way that Tom Cruise interacts with the chick in this movie, it's totally different than how it is with any of the other chicks, because in the first one, he has I wouldn't call it natural chemistry, but there's just something there that they were trying to put in, because the original script, from what I could tell, had the connection between them be a lot more obvious, but now that I'm older, there's just stuff there if you look between the lines. It isn't just two people that have worked with each other for a while and believing them to be the only ones left. There was an additional layer between him and Claire. Then Tom Cruise and Julia, they had the chemistry, okay? You could tell that he cared for her. It was there, but this chick, there's sexual tension, but that's different, okay? It's just not the same. And the way that he openly goes after her, that's something James Bond does. That is not something what Ethan Hunt does. And, the way that Luther and the pilot matter in this movie now, okay. Even in the first movie, they try to establish that Vig Rhames' character is older than everyone else. So it makes sense that he doesn't have the hugest amount to do. Plus, he's computer tech guy. Computer tech guy is not supposed to be in the thick of things. Computer tech guy is the guy that's removed from everyone and usually only acts to save his own hide, which is what happens in this movie. He realizes with just a couple of seconds to spare, oh, beep, I'm in trouble, and then he makes a run for it, and then he survives with not even a scratch on him. Yeah. We've seen that before, okay? But in this movie, other than, I think, when he and Tom Cruise first meet, He doesn't even have any one-liners or any playfulness. Nothing. Nah. Alright, and then the pilot. He's there to fly a plane and be a gag. This franchise, while it's supposed to have comedic moments in pretty much every movie except this one, it is not supposed to be about one-liners, you know? Yeah, and like this pilot, he's just unremarkable. He's just pilot. Okay, Anthony Hopkins makes it explicitly clear who this guy is. He doesn't say the name, but the name is on the screen. Yeah. No one remembers this guy. Yeah. And then how they try and throw resemblance between Tom Cruise and who the bad guy is. Yeah, they resemble each other on paper. In real life, if you saw them standing next to each other, you wouldn't mistake them one bit. So they were just trying to do stuff, and it just doesn't work like that. Now, hold on. I will say one thing in this movie's defense, okay? This director is one of those directors where if you're very familiar with their portfolio, so to speak, you suddenly realize that this movie is exactly what this kind of director does. You know? Like, it's just his signature way of doing things. David Lynch, arguably Ang Lee, Christopher Nolan, all of those directors are known for just having a style, alright? And people have pointed that out in comments about this movie, yeah. So, there is a group of people out there that will watch this movie and feel it delivers on exactly what it was supposed to deliver, But that's not the vast majority of us. The vast majority of us are not familiar with that director. And I'm sure many people out there have heard of David Lynch and can name at least 2 or so movies that he's directed, but what do you truly know about them? Like, I've heard all kinds of people talk about the original version of Dune and Mulholland Drive, and yet I've never watched those. I've got to Dune in the collection. I aim to review that whole franchise eventually, but, Right. So, yeah, I know that was a long-winded bit, but it's just how I, like many people, feel about this movie. And it's not even like the Die Hard 2 or Jaws 3 argument where you take it on its own right and it's better. If it's on its own right, it's just another action movie amongst dozens, if not hundreds, at this point. Taking it on its own right actually takes away from it rather than helping it. That's what I'm getting at. Free critique, too personal. Now, Mission Impossible 3 here. Because I remember the last time that I watched this, and I felt that it was a good entry to the franchise, but I felt like it was one of the weaker ones. When I watched it this time, I had a blast with it. Like, yeah, this was a fun movie, even though Tom Cruise has to keep playing catch-up for almost the entire movie, and he has arguably less to work with than he did in the first movie. He's still able to accomplish a lot of stuff, and he has to do a lot of that on his own. The team in here, yeah, they matter, and yes, they're all like, yeah, we're risking our careers and our lives to help you. We want to help you. But yeah, he had to do a lot of that on his own. The team didn't matter as much in this movie, even though the team in here is way better than the third one, because Luther, now he's got the one-liners with Tom Cruise again, thank you. The pilot in this movie, even though I don't know the guy's name, I can recall his face. Look at, he's split, and they gave him enough things to do to show that he can go from pilot to agent mode to guy mode in nothing flat, and it's done in a good way, because Gordon Ramsay, he can go from Comic Collector to flipping up the handle with a flip of the switch, but it's in a good way, yeah. So yeah, this pilot, I got no problems with him whatsoever. This guy is not only funny, but he's also competent. Thank you, we needed that. And then Maggie Q in here, she's fine, especially for the one real time where the female agent on the team is not the most important male in the movie. Yeah, so she has less to work with than most other people, and she did fine in my mind, showing a similar attitude to the pilot, being very competent out there. Right. Thank you. You guys did good with this. So, 4 out of 5 critique. Wait. Did I say that right? No, I didn't say it right. 4.5 critique for personally, because I don't want to totally neglect what I previously thought. But yeah, this was a lot better giving it another whirl. X amount of years later. Much better. Ghost Protocol. This edition of it has an additional disc of special features that a lot of people might not be familiar with, which is why Tom Cruise is on the opposite side of the cover, contrary to what a lot of you were probably thinking. So this is when the franchise changed from the more episodic feel to the more continuity-oriented side of things, and it does it beautifully. Like, I remember when I first saw this, I was like, they're seriously continuing this franchise? How much more can they do? But then I see the product, and I'm like, holy crap! You guys did amazing with this. Yeah, this was great. The bad guy situation in here, that was a big step up. What Tom Cruise and company had to do, that was a big step up. Everyone had tons to do. The chemistry between the team was amazing. The new characters that they put in there, they all serve their purpose. This movie was fun as heck, and yeah, it did really well. Expanding Simon Pegg's character, well, I guess he had become more known in the film community by this point, so they decided to give him a bigger role. Although, my honest thinking is that they fully intended his character to replace Vig Rhames' character, which is why Vig Rhames only has a cameo in this movie at the end, which I'll admit I was bummed about, because when I was watching this movie originally, I'm like, what the heck? Where's Luther? Oh, he's at the end, and he gets his banter with Tom Cruise. It's a bummer that they didn't use him the whole time, but again, I really do think that was because they were intending to replace him with Simon Pegg, but then fans got so outraged, they're like, yeah, we're bringing him back. Then, Jeremy, I can never remember his, Jeremy Renner. Why is that so hard for me to remember? I'm sorry. Yeah. I can remember his first name immediately, and I can never remember his last name. I got lucky. He did fine in here as somebody who was a little more inexperienced than other people that we've seen on the teams before. And yes, he's used for a gag, but unlike the pilot in the second one, this is a gag that works. Because Jeremy is competent, he's just not as good as the rest of the team. Simple as that. And then the chick in this movie, well, I could tell that they were trying to step up what the chick was going to do compared to what was going on with Maggie Q, although I could have sworn I read something that said that they wanted her back, but she just wasn't available, so they just decided to make a new character. But yeah, Paula, whatever her last name is, she did excellent in this. She had some great, I wouldn't say chemistry, but it's not really banter either, just interactions with Tom Cruise that show that, they were trying to step up what they would do with the female character. It's not just because she's hot, okay? Maggie Q was hot enough, okay? It really depends on your preference. Yeah. This movie was good. Really good. 4.5 out of 5. Easy. Rogue Nation. It's the same thing with Ghost Protocol. There's an additional disc of special features here, which is why this cover doesn't look like what you're accustomed to seeing. Well, who would have thought that they would have just taken a throwaway line at the end of the fifth one and then actually pursue that line to truly have them be the main villain of the movie. A lot of people would have missed that the first time that they saw that. I only became aware of it due to reading the comment when I was watching the Ghost Protocol's ending on here, you know? So it's really impressive that they were able to do it and have it be in a competent way, and this carried a lot of the same strengths that came with the fourth one, and they just continued with it. It was a little bit annoying that they decided to change the chick on the team again, but that wasn't on purpose. They wanted Paula to come back, she wasn't available. Director tries to get Maggie Q again, she also wasn't available. Look, why they didn't go for the chick for the second one? Conflicting reports. Some people say that she's taking a break. She herself said in 2020, yes, 2020, that they never asked her at any point to continue in the franchise, but it's more just leaving the second one in the dust, which I don't actually mind at all. So, yeah, they tried to not change the chick again. They didn't really have a choice. But the character that they created did, Isla, I'm sorry, I can never get that right. Okay, this is one European thing that I just can't clue into. What? I'm sorry. Played by Rebecca something. Yes, her character is once again a step up from what they were doing with the other two, but having her actually be a thorn in the guy's side for this movie, that was not a bad idea. If anything, it helped the movie. Yeah, I did have a couple of moments where I felt like, oh, there's a little too many motivations going on here, plus Rebecca's character having a relationship with the main bad guy. That didn't work so well in my mind, playing that dynamic, but at the same time I can't fault the directors and writers for trying. Well, actually this movie only has one director, what am I saying? But can't fault them for trying, you know. The stunts, they stepped it up again, and yeah, it's another good product to this franchise. 4.5 out of 5 again. First of all, Fallout, and no, unlike the previous two, you don't need to worry about there being an exclusive edition of the movie that has bonus features that aren't available on others. For this one, the regular Blu-ray is exactly what I've got right here, and you're good. Well, imagine my surprise with how they were able to just keep on going with what they were doing in the previous two, gradually improving the franchise and just making it even more impressive, you know, that kind of thing. And I really do like how this time trying to have a bad guy with a relationship with Tom Cruise and Harry Cavill, it actually worked, unless it's Henry Cavill. Sorry, I can never remember if it's Henry or Harry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just call him by his last name most of the time. But yeah, this time that angle actually worked, and you did pretty well there. The not including of Jeremy's character, well, the popular theory was that it was because he had to film Infinity Wars and Endgame, but I've done some more looking into it, and it actually was more Jeremy's decision than anyone else, but at the same time, his removal allows the team to go back to the basic formula of Tom Cruise, Vig Rhymes, hot chick, other guy who is now Simon Pegg. Because you have Luther be replaced by Simon Pegg in the fourth one, and then you have the hot chick be replaced by Jeremy in the fifth one. So we got that status quo resolved because Jeremy was the easiest one to let go. And I didn't hate Jeremy's character. He was good, but there wasn't so much that they could really do with him other than just provide more banter with the cast, which is not a bad thing, but yeah. Having Alec Baldwin now be a good guy, it's a nice little bit because while he is on their side, you can tell that he still doesn't completely agree with them. It's, a complicated situation, like we've seen in tons of movies before, where you gotta bring in a person that the more moralistic people will despise, but no, yeah, you gotta help us, because this is the only way to get rid of the truly bad people. Compared to them, much as I hate to admit it, you're nothing. Yeah. So that's an angle that we've seen before, and the way that he went out, I don't think that was a cop-out. I think that was actually well done. He defended himself better than you would have expected, because the bit where Cavall is talking to the bad guy from the fifth one, at least I'm presuming that it's the same guy, even though I think they have him portrayed by a different actor. Cavall's trying to talk to the guy from the fifth one, but then it's revealed that it's Simon Pegg, and then Alec Baldwin's like, alright, put him up, buddy. Cavall disarms him, but then discovers it's out of bullets, even though he's trained to tell the weight of an unloaded gun. And then Baldwin pulls out another one, and he goes, pretty sure this one's loaded. Yeah. That shows Baldwin was competent. He goes out for a purpose. Tom Cruise says, I'm sorry to him, and Baldwin accepts it. That was all good stuff. And I love how they didn't just have the problems be with the gain, they also included that black chick who presumably was his former superior with like the CIA or whatever, and she has a few words with him. Nice. Goes to show you that people are becoming a little more aware of Tom Cruise, not liking it, but it still happens. And then how they brought up like Julie in this movie, unnecessary, but the way that they did it, I thought it was very well done, honestly. She moved on, and at first the guy that she's with and married to acts like a jerk, and to be fair, I have definitely seen that actor, I don't know his name, but I have definitely seen that actor play jerk characters before, 100% I have. Can't remember them off the top of my head, but if I was to look him up, I'd recognize it in a heartbeat, I'm sure, but even though he acts like a jerk at first, after a little bit you realize, no, he's not that much of a jerk, he's just barely. This guy is not a bad guy at all. He just... yeah. It's there because it has to be. Because as Luther tells Isa in this movie, or later, it wouldn't have worked. Something was going to happen. It was better for everybody, if it ended. Yeah, that does kind of ruin the ending of the third one, but it's in line with what's been going on from Ghost Protocol onwards. And it's a good movie. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how well they just kept continuing with how good all this stuff was in the franchise. So, I think that's not necessarily as detailed as you would have liked, because I actually did see this movie not too long after it came out on home video and really enjoyed it, but I think I've done a good job stating everything that I need to. So 4.5 out of 5 once again.